Hi everyone, this is a 5-minute review of what is a constructor and how does it work. Let's say that I want to make a bank account object. Public class bank account over here defines what it means to be a bank account. For me, a bank account has 3 variables. It's got an amount of money, it's got the name of the account holder, and it has a password that they can use to access their account. Over here in a different file, the tester file, this is where we're actually going to create bank accounts, because this is just the definition for a bank account. It's not actually a bank account itself. This line number 8 is what actually makes the bank account. I want to point out to you the pattern between line 8 and 4 and lines 5 and 6. Whenever you see an equal sign, remember that you are taking a value on the right and saving it inside a variable on the left. So here I'm saving 5 inside the variable num. I'm saving the string Carlo inside the variable name. Here I'm creating a new bank account object using this special keyword new, and I'm taking that object and saving it inside a variable called mine. Each of these variables has a data type. So if I look to the left of the variable, I see that num is an int, name is a string, and the variable mine has a data type that's a bank account. So it's important that the value on the right-hand side matches the data type on the left-hand side that your variable is able to hold. So it wouldn't make any sense to put the word Carlo inside num because num can only hold an int. Similarly, it doesn't make any sense to put the word Carlo here because Carlo is a string, it's not a bank account object. So those things have to match. The keyword new right here tells Java that you're just about to try and run a special method called the constructor. So this is the constructor. The job of the constructor is to use your definition inside your class over here to create an actual new object. How does it do that? Well, what happens when you run the new command here is it will make a copy of all of these variables in your bank account, and the job of the constructor is to give those variables their starting values. And you do that right here inside your declaration for the bank account constructor. So this would do that. Here I'm creating a new bank account, and I am assigning a new value to each of the variables up here in the bank account. Amount of money is 0, account name is Mr. D, password is secrets. The problem with that is it's not very flexible. Like, presumably I'll want to create lots of different bank accounts for lots of different people. But here the constructor that actually makes the bank account objects doesn't give me a choice about what to name the bank account. Every time I construct it, it's got Mr. D as the name. So that's why we want the constructor to take an input that will let the person who runs the constructor actually say what they want some of their starting values to be. So if I want to be able to say that the starting name is, well, let's do this, name. So remember, name is Carlo. In that case, over here in bank account, I need to take an input, which is a variable that can hold that starting value, and I'll just call it n. So now when I run the bank account constructor, I take this name variable, which has Carlo, and that name gets assigned to this string n. So then what I could do is I could take the string n in the constructor and use that as the value that gets assigned to the account name. The reason this is flexible is because I could create several different bank accounts. And each bank account could have its own name. So first could be Carlo, and then could be Mr. D, and then could be Sarah. So each time we run the new, it creates a new bank account object by making a copy of all of these variables and then assigning those variables starting values. You might be wondering why these are all underlined in red. The answer is because I didn't save this file. If you see this little star character up here, the asterisk, that means the file's unsaved. There, I've saved it, and now it's gone away. Probably, in addition to providing the name of the account, when the account actually gets created in the first place, we'd want to give it the password also. So instead of just name, we'll give it a second input that's the password. So my password was secrets. And then Sarah's password is an actual secure password with a mix of letters and numbers. Okay, so because I'm now trying to give it two inputs, and you can tell because there's a comma that separates the two values, over here in the bank account constructor, where I'm defining it, I need it inside the parentheses to accept two different inputs. I need to declare two variables to hold each of those input values. So I'm going to call the second one pass. And notice this is the same pattern for creating a variable anywhere. It's got the data type and the variable name. So now, instead of having the password be secrets every time, I'll use that input pass to assign the starting value to the password up here. And I'll save it, and now it looks like it's going to work everywhere except for this one, and I don't know why. Is it that I'm missing? What am I? Oh, I forgot the comma. Okay. So that's the way constructor works. The job of the constructor is to assign the starting values to your object's variables, and you can take as many of these input variables as you want. If you take an input variable, you should use it to set your actual object variable. Otherwise, you can set your object variable to some default value that would be the same for all of your objects. So, for example, all of my bank account objects have a starting value of 0 for their amount of money variable.